Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to All-Star Weekend in Toronto. I know John Delapina has laid out how we're going to have our discussions with you over the next hour or so, but we're starting with some extremely exciting news. With me is, I think you all know them, Marty Walsh, the Executive Director of the National Hockey League Players Association. And to his right is Luc Tardif, who is the President of the International Ice Hockey Federation. And the exciting news, although I think the IIHF broke it a little early because the ink is barely dry, we have an agreement among us and with the International Olympic Committee for NHL players to participate in the 2026 and 2030 Olympics. We know how important international competition is to our players. We know how much they love and want to represent the countries from which they're from. And we think this is a great stage for best on best, the best on best, in what obviously we all believe is the best sport. And when you look at the composition of our player base, you again understand how important international competition is. There were a lot of details to work out. I'm thrilled that our three organizations could collaborate as well as they have, and we're looking forward to moving our international agenda forward in a really big way. With that, Marty, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today for this exciting announcement with the NHL, NHLPA, and the IIHF. Since I joined the PA since last February, it's been clear how much our players embrace and support the opportunity to represent their countries in the Olympics. That's one of the things as we did Fall Tour. And prior to that, players would constantly say to us, we want to play in the Olympics, we want to be in the Olympics, we want to be part of the Olympics. And today's announcement makes that a reality. As Gary said, we can officially confirm the NHL players will return to the Winter Olympics in Milano Cortina in 2026 as well as in 2030. As you all know, NHL players are the best in the world, and it's exciting to know that they'll be back on a world stage representing their countries in a best-on-best tournament. Today is also an exciting day for hockey fans, for media, for stakeholders who have regularly debates what team rosters should look like with the best players competing for their countries. And in 2026, we will get that answer. We'll get to see NHL teammates go head-to-head, top NHL players line up next to each other, and for many NHLPA members, it will be the first opportunity for them to ever play in an Olympic game. 2026 marks the sixth time that players will compete in the Olympics. We all remember the outstanding performances from gold medalists in the past like Mario Lemieux, Nicholas Lindstrom, Sidney Crosby, Carey Price, and we can't wait to see what this group of players will do in the next Olympic Games. I just want to take a moment to thank the teams that put this together. We get a chance to sit up here and announce this. But the team at the NHL, the staff that worked tirelessly to get this agreement done, the team at the IIHF who worked tirelessly to get this done, the IOC team that's here with us today, tirelessly to get it done, and I'm going to say most importantly, the NHLPA staff too. But all kidding aside, all of the people that worked on this worked extremely hard and were committed from day one to making something happen. So I want to say thank you very much. And with that, I have an opportunity to introduce Luc Tardif to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Director, Mr. Commissioner. I think first, we made it. And that's really important. That's 2 years' work, and more intense the last 6 months, I think, if I can say. But the most important thing is since 2 years, we learned to work together. And I have to congratulate, like you did, Mr. Watch, the staff of NHL, the staff of NHLPA, the staff of the IHF, and the people from IOC, because now we got a new process, you got a new method for success. So that means outside of the Olympic game, why not do further? We know how to work together, and that's really important. This agreement is really important because first of all, IHF, NHL. So that means our goal is trying to grow the game all over the world. Bring the best on best player, and what is the most important competition than the Olympic Games. I think this news will make happy the young players who will have in front of them at least 2 Olympic Games, and why not 34, because it will be in a ice hockey place. So that means it will be important for all those kids and to play the Olympic game, to learn what is the Olympic spirit. And we're happy that all of us, we reach, that was not easy. That was not easy. A lot of discussion, but I think the most important thing is the success. For IHF, I think coordinate all the schedule for the next 10 years. It will be really important and for the benefit of our game. So thank you for your understanding and the work we did together. We know a little bit more together, and that was not an easy. Both of us, we are not easy guy, but we made it.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. We made it for the benefit of ice hockey level. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary, Marty, and Luc. We can now take questions. Again, I ask if we can focus on the Olympics. Raise your hand. We'll get a handheld mic to you. Steve Wino.
Steve Wino, Associated Press. Gary, you've expressed concerns recently, I guess, about the arena construction in Milan. I guess, have all your kind of concerns been satisfied in terms of coming to this agreement?
Thank you. Some people have suggested that was a negativity about the Olympics. It wasn't. It was really intended to be a wake-up call for the organizing committee. We have been given assurances that the building will be ready, and we're relying on those assurances. But there's a lot of construction that remains to be done on that building. I think they only recently started, but we're being told by everybody that not to worry. But I like to worry. So we'll see.
Pierre, front right.
Pierre Lebrun, TSN, The Athletic. 2 questions, if I may. One for all of you. What were the major issues in your mind that you had to overcome to get the Olympic deal done? And secondly, where does Russia stand, do you think, heading into the 26 Olympics as far as still being banned from competition or not?
The latter question, Luc, you have to answer, because that's not something within our purview.
Yeah. First, I will start with the second question. First of all, we about the a possible comeback of Russia and Belarus. We always said year by year we'll take a decision for the year coming. So that's why at the beginning we expected a better geopolitical situation, and our decision, that's only a question of security. So next week we're going to have a council meeting, and we're going to take a decision about the future World Championship, who will be held in Sweden and Denmark. So we will have to answer this question. Is it possible in the geopolitical situation on a safety environment to bring back the Russian and Belarus? That's the answer we're going to have for the year coming. After that, about the Olympic game, the qualification round will come closely because in August, September, Belarus is involved. And by the ranking, Russia is already qualified. But can we treat both separately? That's a question the council will have to answer. So you will know a little bit much better next week about the decision of IHF.
As it relates to the first question, there were a lot of things that we've worked out in previous Olympics, rules, officiating, accommodations, and the like. I wasn't worried about those things. The big issues were the big ticket items: who is going to pay for the insurance, who is going to pay for the travel, and who is going to pay for the players and their families. From our standpoint, it was really when the Players Association got comfortable that the players were going to be treated appropriately, that we were going to be comfortable going once we were told that the big ticket items were going to be paid for and that the players would be insured and traveled appropriately. You want to weigh in? Who's paying, Luke?
That,
Not
that's
us.
a team effort. First, that's a team effort, and that's the most difficult problem. So that means, for 2030, we don't know what will be the insurance. We don't know. So that means we will have to in the middle of the road to readjust our. But anyway, that's not possible. That the player are not covered, and first. That's the job of IHF, but that's a team effort because IOC organization committee help us on different way to answer all the questions sent by NHLPA and NHL for this topic.
And we also, we have, as you know, new leadership in the PA, myself and Ron Hainsey. And when we looked at international hockey, we asked Rob Zepp to take over international hockey. So there were some new players at the table for us. So, you know, at the end of the day, you look back and say, it was a great collaboration. Obviously, to get to the final, it can be complicated. And, you know, the challenges were there. But our team and all the teams, as I said earlier, did a great job working together collectively.
Let me just add one thing, particularly for the NHL owners that are listening. The fact of the matter is, our agreement is we're not responsible for any of the major costs, the big ticket items. How the IIHF raises the funds, whether it's from the IIHF or the organizing committee or the IOC for 30, that will be their issue, not ours. And I want to be clear about that. And since we're giving shout outs, this agreement doesn't come to fruition without Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly's tireless work on that behalf, plus the people that worked with him on our staff.
Maybe I should add that also a part of the insurance will be covered. That we share will be covered by Olympic Committee of each country, and also Federation of each country. So that means that's the way we find a way to cover everything. There is a new things coming because now since January we've got a professional female. So that means. That's brand new, so we will have to also cover the insurance because that's a brand new situation, but we already anticipate that.
Good. Third row on the right, Steve Simmons.
Gary, Steve Simmons, Toronto Sun. You talk about the owners who are listening and even those who aren't right now. There's been a historical reluctance among the people who've owned franchises in your league to participate in the Olympic Games. How did you convince them at this time to go back to the Games after the ownership seemed to be going in the other direction?
That's a really good question, and there are no simple answers, but I'll try and give you one. There is a recognition of how important this is to the players, and in the spirit of cooperation, particularly the work that we did together during COVID, everybody felt on our side that it was the right thing to do. In addition, that we can all have the discussion about growing the game and the profile and all that. This really came down to doing something because the players really wanted it.
Mark Lazarus, The
Back
Athletic.
on the right, Mark Lazarus.
Given the arena is just starting to be under construction, is there any push to make it an NHL-sized rink instead of the wider Olympic ice?
Yeah, there is a new rule now in IHF about first our top heaven. So we will use NHL size, and that will be the case in Torino, not in Torino, in Milano. So that means now that's the size, even if NHL was not there the last two Olympic Games. So for a lot of reasons, we think that's a more spectacular size for ice hockey. So in Torino, it will be NHL size.
Unless I'm misremembering, I think that started back in Vancouver. We were on NHL ice.
Yeah.
In front, Kevin McGrath.
Gary, I know a stumbling block for you with the Olympics in the past has been the ability to use the video on your own website. Has that been resolved to your satisfaction?
The discussions are constructive and positive enough that we think we'll have enough content access. better than we've had in the past. That's one of those things that we'll work our way through, but in order for us to be able to participate in 2026, we couldn't resolve dot every I and cross every T, but on the big items that were essential, we were able to do that, and the other things that we'll work out, but I think we're in a better position than we were the last time we participated.
Josh, you have a question? You done? Anybody else? Oh, okay. Third row on the left.
Hey, Alex Silverman, Sports Business Journal. I know the location of 2030 hasn't been officially announced, but it looks like France and Salt Lake City for 2034. Was having some level of knowledge of where those are going to be, was that a factor at all?
Not really. In the final analysis, we wanted to be back with our players in the Olympics, and the Olympics is going to select among a number of places, all of which I think are pretty desirable.
Maybe I can give more information about that because that's in France. And at the moment, the decision of the organization of the Olympic Games in France, it will be settled on the executive committee of IOC in Paris on I think that's just before the Olympic Games. But now we know that first there is only one last candidate, so it will be in France, and the location will be everybody was going to be happy. That's in south of France, and all the figure skating, speed skating, and ice hockey will be in Nice.
That sounds nice.
Are there any other Olympic questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
President Tardif, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
From the Edmonton Oilers, forward and representing Canada, Connor McDavid. From the Carolina Hurricanes, forward and representing Finland, Sebastian Aho. From the United States and the Toronto Maple Leafs, Austin Matthews. And from the Vancouver Canucks and Sweden, Elias Pettersson. And NHL Network host, Jamison Coyle.
So we're excited to make a second announcement today with the NHL. Next February, the NHLPA and the NHL will host the Four Nations Faceoff, featuring the top NHL players from Canada, the United States, Sweden, and Finland. This tournament will take place in two cities, one in Canada, one in the United States. As I mentioned in our prior announcement on the Olympics, NHL players are the best players in the world who crave competition and an opportunity to measure their game against their peers. This marks a new era for international hockey, which will start with NHL players from our four strong hockey nations competing against one another in a mid-season tournament, and we have no doubt they will produce exceptionally compelling hockey for fans and stakeholders all across the world. NHL players are certainly thrilled about the opportunity to represent their countries, and we know that players involved will put on a great showcase of their talent for 1 year from now in the Four Nations Faceoff. We view this event as a building block to a larger World Cup, an important tournament to the players. We are pleased to have the Olympic agreement complete, as we mentioned earlier today, and now we can turn our focus towards finalizing the World Cup schedule. I'd like to this opportunity again to thank the team at the NHL, Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly and his team, the team at the NHLPA, Rob Zepp and his team, and it's been exciting to have these conversations. These guys that are on the stage here today, every one of them either talked to me or Ron personally saying this is what we want to get international hockey back into the NHL. And this couple of global series is truly, we have an amazing opportunity. So I want to say thank you, and it's my honor to bring to the podium Commissioner Gary Bettman.
Thank you, Marty. What I'll briefly add to what Marty has said is our intention in terms of an international calendar is to go to the Olympics in 2026, 2 years later play a World Cup, 2 years after that go to the Olympics in 2030, and 2 years after that play a World Cup. That's the cycle we want to get on. We both collectively, our organizations, know a lot about putting on events, this weekend being a good example, and it's a major undertaking to do an international competition. on relatively short notice, and we're only about a year out. So the notion was, let's do a little bit of international competition as a bit of an appetizer for the schedule that I just laid out. And so we'll play the Four Nations tournament. We're going to play some games in Canada, some games in the United States. Locations have yet to be finalized, but our view was this was a great way to kick off the calendar that we've agreed upon and that I've just outlined. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jameson and the stars of the show.
Commissioner, Marty, thank you very much. Guys, thank you for being here. We know it's a busy weekend for you. Commissioner, I want to start with you. We've had Olympics and other international events in the past, but how did the Four Nations Faceoff come to be?
We understood the anxiety and anxiousness of everybody to get started, and understanding both the schedule we were working on, and as I said, we only, the ink's still drying on the Olympic agreement that was signed this morning. We felt that we wanted to do something, but we couldn't get ready in a year for a full-blown World Cup. This gets us started and puts us on a schedule that I think everybody is not just excited about, but really comfortable with.
Marty, we have 4 players up here from 4 different countries. How did these 4 countries get chosen for this event?
Well, we were putting the list together to see where we can have it, how we can do it, and ultimately we had conversations internally talking to players, and we settled on these 4 countries. There's other countries that would want to be here, but as the commissioner just mentioned, we didn't have enough time to be able to put a bigger tournament on. So we were able to just look at the four countries. We were in Sweden this year for the global series. We were playing. There's other teams in this league, other players that are a little upset that they're not sitting on the stage right now. But 2026, 2028, 2030, 2032, there'll be plenty of opportunity.
Connor, I know you've publicly said you've been hoping for something like this for a while now. It's finally here. What's it going to be like for you to represent Canada?
Yeah, just the opportunity to do that is a dream come true. Obviously I've been vocal about this. I feel like it's important for hockey as we continue to try to grow our game internationally and at home. I think it's a great thing. It's an exciting schedule, something that people can look forward to. Every 2 years, every second year. It's something that I know the 4 of us are super pumped about, and obviously the Four Nations Cup. It's going to be exciting. 4 great teams that are going to be competing, and I can't wait.
Austin, you get to represent the United States for the first time as an NHLer. What is that going to be like?
Yeah, it means a lot. Obviously, at any level to represent your country, it's a big honor. So, at a world stage like the Olympics or the Four Nations Cup, competing against the best players in the NHL in their respective countries. I think it'll be great for the players and obviously great for the sport and the fans. I think we'll really enjoy it.
Sebastian, international events back where you're from are a big deal. What do you think the reaction back in Finland is like right now hearing this news?
I'm sure people from Finland and all over Europe are pumped to hear these news, and obviously the players and whoever get to be part of this is great stuff. I mean, our generation hasn't been able to do that as NHL players, so I'm very pumped, and I know there's a lot of people from back home who are very happy to hear this.
Elias, you've had the chance to represent Sweden on the international stage. Describe that moment, what that feels like.
It's special. I mean, you get to represent your country. You got a whole country behind you, so it's special, and I'm very excited for this announcement. And yeah.
Sebastian, you're from Finland. Of the 4 countries represented here on stage, much smaller population, yet in these international events, you guys always show up and usually do quite well. What's the secret to that?
I can't tell you,
You can tell me, you can't tell these guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think every time, I think it's the whole nation is behind you, and like the team is bonding it very well, and it's just I don't really know. I don't really know what it is, but I always enjoyed going whenever I had the chance to play for Team Finland.
Elias, I'll go back to you on this one. We always love a good rivalry in sports, whether it's in the NHL or at an international event. You got Sebastian Aho over there, Finland, Sweden. You've been in that rivalry. Take me on the ice. What makes that one so special?
Yeah, it's a rivalry going far back in the days. Easiest way to put it is what Sweden and Finland is to us is what Canada and US is. So,
Austin, USA Hockey is on the rise, more and more so each and every year, just churning out better and better talents right into the NHL. How do you think Team USA stacks up against the world these days?
I mean, I think they stack up pretty good. I mean, I think all 4 countries, you know, being represented here, you know, I think it's all very, very close. Like anybody can beat anybody, and there's amazing players on both sides. So I think that's you know, the really exciting part about being able to compete in these tournaments and in the Olympics is that you know, the discrepancy between teams is very close. It'll make for really competitive games and competitive tournaments.
Connor, the last time we had something like this was the World Cup of Hockey in Toronto, and you and Austin were actually on the same team, Team North America. What's it going to be like going head-to-head against him this time around?
Yeah, this All-Star game feels a little bit like a U23 reunion with the number of players who have gone on to compete in this All-Star game. So obviously going up against Austin, you know, I know really well. It's never easy, and to do it on the Olympic stage, World Cup stage, 4 Nations Cup. It's going to be exciting. Obviously, Canada, U.S. Doesn't get any better than that in hockey, and just can't wait to have a chance to be a part of that.
It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. Guys, we appreciate your time. We know you're busy. Got to get ready for a skills competition coming up later on tonight, so we're going to let these guys go. We're going to take a quick break here. When we do come back, the commissioner and the deputy commissioner will take the stage and will be available to the media. So, thank you.